and the Gopis meet for the rasa dance. So this is a very intimate pastime of God as an avatar who came down as Krishna 5,000 years ago to the material world in India in a place called Vrindavan. And you can look it up on your map. Vrindavan, I think, is what, 90 miles north of Delhi? Is that right? I believe so, if my geography is correct. So,
It's about 2.5, 3 hours south of it.
oh, south of, I'm sorry, I said north. So, yeah, so Vrindavan, when I went to Vrindavan, it looked the same probably as it did for 5,000 years. I mean, for thousands of years prior, it was just a beautiful village full of temples, a beautiful Jamuna River running through it, jungles, monkeys, the stuff you would expect in India. It was very, very beautiful. And now I understand it's a booming city. And the reason is Srila Prabhupada came to the Western world and popularized Vrindavan. Vrindavan became a very popular place. So if you're a Christian person, I think Fabian is, then you would know that Jerusalem would be a place. If you're a Muslim, Mecca, so it goes on like that. And Vrindavan is the place where Krishna performed the pastimes that we've been reading about. So we're in the 10th canto, chapter 29. So we're 90% of the way through the study of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Of course, we're going to do it over and over and over again anyway. But definitely appreciate you all being here. And for those of you in the future who get to watch this video, you should avail yourself of this information from the Srimad Bhagavatam, which describes the incarnations of God in the material world. And he comes, I believe, somewhere around 22, 24 times he comes. There's recorded histories. They're called the Puranas. Puranas means ancient history. So it's all recorded. There's another book called the Mahabharata. And the Mahabharata is the story, the great story of the earth, the planet Earth. Bharat was a great king at the time when the Kali Yuga was just beginning. So Kali Yuga is a time of quarrel and hypocrisy. It's considered to be a dark age of mankind, and we're in the middle of it, or the winter age. So there are 4 yugas, and they correspond with spring. It's called Satya. Summer, it's called Treta. Fall, Dwapara Yuga, and then the last yuga is called Kali Yuga, which means quarrel and hypocrisy. And we have short lives here. We're generally distressed, and we're basically have lost the intelligence or the information that existed for thousands and thousands of years that was handed down in what is known as the Veda or the Vedas. The Vedas are the original knowledge of humankind, and they describe all the activities that we're supposed to be doing and what the activities were in great history and how these activities impact our lives and how they can also bind us or they can liberate us and deliver us back to a spiritual sky, which is beyond this material, mundane world of darkness that is characterized and typified by birth, death, old age, and disease. In the Vedas, it's known as the wheel of samsara. The wheel of samsara. We're transmigrating from one body to the next. Just like you change a shirt after you wear your shirt out, you put on another one. So the idea is you are changing bodies, and there's millions of species of life that you can take an incarnation in if you would like to. So the idea, though, is ultimately it all ends up in loss because at death, everything goes back to the original owner, God. So everything belongs to God, everything returns to God, and in the meantime, everything should be used for God and His purposes. So we've been discussing that a long time. I just want to give you an introduction because you might have some folks here who don't know a little bit about the history of the Vedas. So I generally start out, I'm a disciple of Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who was very kind to me in the 70s and allowed me to become his disciple. And so I speak on his behalf, and I don't concoct, I don't give my opinion. I give you the information as he gave it to us and how it comes in the Sanskrit language translated into English for the benefit of humankind and for the whole world, actually. So I hope you enjoy it. start out by offering prayers to my spiritual master. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devyam Gaudavani Pracharine. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschacharya Shatare. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya. Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Now, I'm going to chant a mantra and you can chant it with me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, so that is traditional, and we always chant that before we get started to create an environment of auspiciousness by invoking the favor of the Lord, by asking them to come to our program tonight and be with us while we're reading. So this is chapter 29. Krishna and Gopis meet for the Rasa dance. Hey, Krishna Dasi. I see you.
Haribo.
Haribo. Well, you must be tired with all that driving and coming to all those programs this weekend, but we'll talk about that later.
Sure.
All right. So I'll read first, and anybody else who wants to read, please join in at any time. I'll take the first, say, 10 verses. So text 1. Sri Bhadrayani said, Sri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, full in all opulences. Yet upon seeing those autumn nights scented with blossoming jasmine flowers, he turned his mind toward loving affairs. To fulfill his purposes, he employed his internal potency. The moon then rose, anointing the face of the eastern horizon with the reddish hue of his comforting rays, and thus dispelling the pain of all who watched him rise. The moon was like a beloved husband who returns after a long absence and adorns the face of his beloved wife with red kumkuma. Lord Krishna saw the unbroken disk of the full moon glowing with the red effulgence of the newly applied vermilion, as if it were the face of the goddess of fortune. He also saw the Kamuda lotuses opening in response to the moon's presence, and the forest gently illuminated by its rays. Thus the Lord began to play sweetly on his flute, attracting the minds of the beautiful-eyed Gopis. When the young women of Vrindavan heard Krishna's flute song, which arouses romantic feelings, their minds were captivated by the Lord. They went to where their lover waited, each unknown to the others, moving so quickly that their earrings swung back and forth. Some of the gopis were milking cows when they heard Krishna's flute. They stopped milking and went off to meet him. Some left milk curdling on the stove, and others left cakes burning in the oven. Some of them were getting dressed, feeding milk to their infants, or rendering personal service to their husbands, but they all gave up these duties and went to meet Krishna. Other gopis were taking their evening meals, washing themselves, putting on cosmetics, and applying kajala to their eyes, but all the gopis stopped these activities at once, and though their clothes and ornaments were in complete disarray, they rushed off to Krishna. Their husbands, fathers, brothers, and other relatives tried to stop them, but Krishna had already stolen their hearts. Enchanted by the sound of his flute, they refused to turn back. Some of the gopis, however, could not manage to get out of their houses, and instead they remained home with their eyes closed, meditating upon the Lord in pure love. For those gopis who could not go to see Krishna, intolerable separation from their beloved caused an intense agony that burned away all impious karma. By meditating upon him, they realized his embrace, and the ecstasy they then felt exhausted their material piety. Although Lord Krishna is the Supreme Soul, these girls simply thought of him as their male lover and associated with him in that intimate mood. Thus, their karmic bondage was nullified, and they abandoned their gross material bodies. Who would like to pick it up on text 12?
Bhavananda wants to. Let me turn you over to him.
Okay.
There I am.
All right, read a few. I don't know how many verses in this one, Ranga?
I think about what, 43 or something?
Yeah, just grab 6 or 8 if you don't mind, Bob, and then we'll pass it around.
Oh, 48.
Yeah.
Okay. Just half a dozen.
Yep. Go ahead.
Text 12. Sri Parikshit Maharaj said, O sage, the gopis knew Krishna only as their lover, not as the supreme absolute truth. So how could these girls, their minds caught up in the waves of the modes of nature, free themselves from material attachment? Sukadeva Goswami said, this point was explained to you previously. Since even Sisupala, who hated Krishna, achieved perfection, then what to speak of the Lord's dear devotees? O King, the Supreme Lord is inexhaustible and immeasurable, and he is untouched by the material modes because he is their controller. His personal appearance in this world is meant for bestowing the highest benefit on humanity. Persons who constantly direct their lust, anger, fear, protective affection, feelings of impersonal oneness, or friendship toward the Lord Hari are sure to become absorbed in thoughts of him. You should not be so astonished by Krishna, the unborn master of all masters of mystic powers. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, after all, is the Lord who liberates this world. I forgot what number I was on. Stop.
No, you can go another couple.
Okay.
2 or 3.
Seeing that girl, seeing the girls of Vraj had arrived, Lord Krishna, the best of speakers, greeted them with charming words that bewildered their minds. Lord Krishna said, O most fortunate ladies, welcome. What may I do to please you? Is everything well in Vraj? Please tell me the reason for your coming here. This night is quite frightening, and frightening creatures are lurking about. Return to Vraj, slender-waisted girls. This is not a proper place for women.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Bob. Appreciate that. Who would like to grab the next, say, 8, 10 verses?
I'll jump in. It's been a while, if you don't mind.
Please, thank you.
Okay, not finding you at home. Your mothers, fathers, sons, brothers, husbands are certainly searching for you. Don't cause anxiety for your family members. Now you have seen this Vrindavan forest full of flowers and resplendent with the light of the full moon. You have seen the beauty of the trees, with their leaves trembling in a gentle breeze coming from the Yamuna. So now go back to the coward village. Don't delay, O chaste ladies. Serve your husband and give milk to your crying babies and calves. On the other hand, perhaps you have come here out of your great love for me, which has taken control of your hearts. This, of course, is quite commendable on your part, since all living entities possess natural affection for me. The highest religious duty for a woman is to sincerely serve her husband, behave well towards her husband's family, and take good care of her children. Women who desire a good destination in the next life should never abandon a husband who has not fallen from his religious standards, even if he is obnoxious, unfortunate, old, intelligent, sickly, or poor. Well, they know me. For a woman from a respectable family, petty adulterous affairs are always condemned. They bar her from heaven, ruin her reputation, and bring her difficulty and fear. Transcendental love for me arises for the devotional process of hearing about me, seeing my deity form, meditating on me, and faithfully chanting my glories. The same result is not achieved by mere physical proximity. So please go back to your homes. Okay, I pass the torch.
Thank you. That was nice. Vamsa? Vamsi? There you are. Hey.
Yes. Hare Krishna.
Well, wow, nice to see you. We haven't seen your face in a minute. Would you mind
Yes.
reading for us, please?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Text 28. Sukadeva Goswami said, hearing these unpleasant words spoken by Govinda, the gopis became morose. Their great hopes were frustrated, and they felt insurmountable anxiety. Their heads hanging down and their heavy, sorrowful breathing drying up their reddened lips, the gopis scratched the ground with their toes. Tears flowed from their eyes, carrying their kajal and washing away the vermilion smeared on their breasts. Thus they stood silently bearing the burden of their unhappiness. Although Krishna was their beloved, and although they had abandoned all other objects of desire for his sake, he had been speaking to them unfavorably. Nonetheless, they remained unflinching in their attachment to him. Stopping their crying, they wiped their eyes and began to speak. Their voice stammered with agitation. The beautiful Gopi said, O all-powerful one, you should not speak in this cruel way. Do not reject us, who have renounced all material enjoyments to render devotional service to your lotus feet. Reciprocate with us, O stubborn one, just as the primeval Lord Sri Narayana reciprocates with his devotees in their endeavors for liberation. Our dear Krishna, as an expert in religion, you have advised us that the proper religious duty for women is to faithfully serve their husbands, children, and other relatives. We agree that this principle is valid, but actually, this service should be rendered to you. After all, O Lord, you are the dearmost friend of all embodied souls. You are their most intimate relative and indeed their very self. Expert transcendentalists always direct their affection towards you because they recognize you as their true self and eternal beloved. What use do you have for these husbands, children, and relatives of ours who simply give us trouble? Therefore, O Supreme Controller, grant us your mercy. O Lotus-eyed One, please do not cut down our long-cherished hope to have your association. Until today, our minds were absorbed in household affairs, but you easily stole both our minds and our hands away from our housework. Now, our feet won't move one step from your lotus feet. How can we go back to Vraja? What would we do there? Dear Krishna, please pour the nectar of your lips upon the fire within our hearts, a fire you ignited with your smiling glances and the sweet song of your flute. If you do not, we will consign our bodies to the fire of separation from you. O friend, and thus, like yogis, attain to the abode of your lotus feet by meditation. O Lotus-eyed One, the goddess of fortune considers it a festive occasion whenever she touches the soles of your lotus feet. You are very dear to the residents of the forest, and therefore we will also touch those lotus feet. From that time on, we will be unable to even to stand in the presence of any other man, for we will have been fully satisfied by you. Goddess Lakshmi, whose glance is sought after by the demigods with great endeavor, has achieved the unique position of always remaining on the chest of her Lord Narayan. Still, she desires the dust of his lotus feet, even though she has to share the dust with Tulsi Devi and indeed with the Lord's many other servants. Similarly, we have approached the dust of your lotus feet for shelter. Therefore, O vanquisher of all distress, please show us mercy. To approach your lotus feet, we abandoned our families and homes, and we have no desire other than to serve you. Our hearts are burning with intense desire generated by your beautiful smiling glances. O jewel among men, please make us your maidservants. Seeing your face encircled by curling locks of hair, your cheeks beautified by earrings, your lips full of nectar, and your smiling glances, and also seeing your two imposing arms, which take away our fear, and your chest, which is the only source of pleasure for the goddess of fortune, we must become your maidservants. Should I continue?
Thank you, Vamsi. I think if Rangavati would like to read, or if Krishna Dasi wants to read, I don't know if she has her book up or not tonight.
I can read.
Okay, would you like to read, say, get about 8 of them? I think there's only, we might finish the chapter. So go
Okay.
ahead. Yeah, finish the chapter.
Dear Krishna, what woman in all the three worlds wouldn't deviate from religious behavior when bewildered by the sweet, drawn-out melody of your flute? Your beauty makes all three worlds auspicious. Indeed, even the cows, birds, trees, and deer manifest the ecstatic symptom of bodily hair standing on end when they see your beautiful form. Clearly, you have taken birth in this world to relieve the fear and distress of the people of Vraja, just as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the primeval Lord, protects the domain of the demigods. Therefore, O friend of the distressed, kindly place your lotus hand on your maid-servants' heads and burning breasts. Shukadeva Goswami said, smiling upon hearing these despondent words from the Gopis, Lord Krishna, the supreme master of all masters of mystic yoga, mercifully enjoyed with them, although he is self-satisfied. Among the assembled Gopis, the infallible Lord Krishna appeared just like the moon surrounded by stars. He whose activities are so magnanimous made their faces blossom with his affectionate glances, and his broad smiles revealed the effulgence of his jasmine bud-like teeth. As the Gopis sang his praises, that leader of hundreds of women sang loudly in reply. He moved among them, wearing his Vaijayanti garland, beautifying the Vrindavan forest. Sri Krishna went with the Gopis to the bank of the Yamuna, where the sand was cooling, and the wind, enlivened by the river's waves, bore the fragrance of lotuses. There Krishna threw his arms around the Gopis and embraced them. He aroused Cupid in the beautiful young ladies of Vraja by touching their hands, hair, thighs, belts, and breasts, by playfully scratching them with his fingernails, and also by joking with them, glancing at them, and laughing with them. In this way, the Lord enjoyed his pastimes. The Gopis became proud of themselves for having received such special attention from Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and each of them thought herself the best woman on earth. Lord Keshava, seeing the Gopis too proud of their good fortune, wanted to relieve them of this pride and show them further mercy. Thus, he immediately disappeared.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Yeah, this is a very esoteric, intimate discussion that is actually meant for devotees who have already read the full Srimad Bhagavatam and studied the entire Bhagavad Gita, and a chant rounds every day of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and they've come to an understanding that this is not a depiction of ordinary humans in a state of lusty embrace or anything like that. It would be very, very, very offensive to actually think of the Lord in that way. So we have to get a better understanding. So about how this is happening, why this is happening. This is the most intimate relationship that the Lord has with his devotees. It's called Madhurya Rasa. And it all starts out however you like. I mean, we all have an eternal relationship with Krishna. It's as intimate as yourself. I mean, it's, you know how close you are to yourself. You sleep with yourself, you bathe yourself, you dress yourself, you go to the bathroom. Everything you have to do, you're doing with yourself. So it's a very intimate situation, but that is nowhere near as intimate as the situation you originally have with your creator. Okay, so the idea is Krishna is not only the one who in the Bhagavad Gita says Sarvadharma Pratyaja Mami Kam Saranam Braja Ham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Moksha Shami Masichaha. So what this means basically is Krishna has created everything. He's created the material worlds. He's created the spiritual worlds. He's manifested himself as all of us, as part and parcels. And Krishna did this for the purpose of pleasure. We're here to enjoy pleasure. But our pleasure is interrupted when we take it selfishly. In other words, when we do things for our own satisfaction, there's not much pleasure in it. It's just that when we do things for others in a selfless fashion, that we actually enjoy true eternal pleasure. So in the spiritual world, everyone is in the spiritual world doing for others. They're doing for Krishna. Everyone is surrounding the supreme person. And in doing that, Krishna is reciprocating with everyone as if they're the only one, that they're the only one. So Krishna's relationship with you is unique to you. There's only one you. There cannot be two you. All right? So Krishna, the only way he can be satisfied is to connect with you again. Somehow or another, we've left the spiritual world. We've come to the material world. We're lost in darkness. We're trying to understand where our true home is. And we're trying to get back home. And in that process, we might hear about the yoga process. Yoga means to yoke or to become united or in union. So we have to develop our union with Krishna. And in doing that, there are 5 different relationships that we can have with Krishna. The first one is one of neutrality, santaras. Santaras may be like a rock or a tree or whatever living entity in the forest. They have a neutral relationship with Krishna. When Krishna comes, they're stimulated, but they're waiting there for Krishna to come. So their rasa is one in neutrality. The next rasa is dasa ras, dasya ras. Dasa means servant. And we are the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant of these great spiritual masters who come throughout all time to give us the information that we find in these ancient Vedic texts in Sanskrit, which go back since time immemorial and are repeated again and again and again. Even in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, I've given this information to the sun god Vivaswan. And so Arjuna said, how is that possible? Vivaswan's much senior to your appearance in the world in 5,000 years ago. And he said, oh, many, many births have both of us have passed. I can remember them all, but you cannot. So God knows everything about you. There's no way to keep a secret from God. There's no way to, hide from God. God is in every atom. God is in your heart. God is everywhere you look. Everything you see is a manifestation of God. So everything truly is God. And you are a part and parcel of God, just like a spark in a fire would be a part and parcel of the actual fire. So after Dasyaras, servitude, comes friendship, Sakyaras. Sakyaras means that you're a friend to Krishna. There's different kinds of friendship with Krishna. You can read all about that in the Vedic literatures. Some people feel like they even have to protect Krishna, that you could protect God. And then above that is Vatsalya Ras. Vatsalya Ras is parenthood. And one sees that Krishna, God, is their own child. Just like we see Nanda and Yasoda and Devaki and Vasudeva, the mother and father of Krishna. And so we can see those rasas exist also. And they're absorbed in that pastime of having the Supreme Personality as their own child. And then above that, the highest relationship is called Madhurya Ras, and that's the one we are studying right now. And Madhurya Rasa is one of intimacy, one of lover and beloved with the spiritual, with the Lord in a spiritual sense, not in a mundane, lusty sense, not in the material world. So we have to change our eyes. Right now, our eyes are covered with cataracts, and those cataracts are known as lust, anger, greed, covetousness, animosity, and it all starts by believing we're the owner of something. It all starts because we believe we're the controller of something, that we own something. We don't own anything. Krishna owns everything. You were born naked, you'll die naked. You can't take this with you. There are no U-Haul trucks chained to a gravestone because you can't carry it with you. Now, the Egyptians tried to do it. They had these big sarcophaguses full of all their servants and a boat. They'd create a boat to cross over and this and that because they wanted to carry with them their possessions. But that's not possible. Everything belongs to Krishna. So this highest rasa is one that we have to carefully study and we have to carefully understand in its correct way, or otherwise we become very offensive. So God is not, he's the creator of the modes of material nature, but he's not subject to the modes of material nature. Modes of material nature, mode of ignorance, mode of passion, and mode of goodness. So he is not subject to those modes himself. God doesn't need us. He doesn't need a relationship with us. He wants one, just like you want one for the purpose of pleasure. But he is self-sufficient, and he's rewarded everyone's desires since time immemorial, according to the Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna is rewarding these girls' desire to have him as their beloved, as their beloved. And therefore they had done previously, if you read the other chapters before we got here, you'll find they had been done lots of puja and gone to the Jamuna River to bathe and so forth, asking Mother Bhadrakali to please bless them with Krishna as their husband. So after performing all these activities, Krishna came to them on the banks of the Jamuna, stole their garments, and made them come forth. Now, a woman is never allowed to be seen by anyone but her husband in an unclothed state. So Krishna, by taking their clothes and forcing them to come out of the water, married them on the spot. So this is 1 year later. They're his wives. And any material relationship that we have, this supersedes any of those temporary relationships that we have, right? We think we own a husband, or we own a wife, or we own these children, or we own this house, or we own this car, or we own this intelligence, or this business, or whatever it is we're doing. None of those things are ours. All of those things are gifts of Krishna. Krishna says, I am the ability in man. I am the intelligence, right? Not only is he the taste of water and the light of the sun and the moon, but he is the facilities that you are using to progress yourself further. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Yagyartat karma nonyatra lokayam karma bandhana tadartam karma konteya mukta sangha samachara. Do everything that you do. Everything should be done as an offering to Krishna. Otherwise, it binds one to the material world. It binds one to the material world. But if you do what you do as an offering to Krishna, then you're not bound in the material world any longer. But that activity is liberating. There's no karmic reaction to that. And you go back home, back to the spiritual world where you live forever in your permanent relationship with the Lord in whatever rasa you desire, basically. Whatever your original rasa was will manifest itself. So the idea is yoga means to reawaken our dormant love for Krishna. Everything loves Krishna. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, everyone follows my path in all respects. Everyone follows my path in all respects, because even the animals who are migrating thousands of miles, of the whales or the birds or whatever it might be, they're following Krishna's path. He is the voice of their conscious nature. And all of these things are being carried out by the Lord not only for the benefit, they're for the benefit of the living entity. All of this is for the benefit of the living entity. So, guys, if you want, you can ask any question, and then I'll recap this chapter quickly, and then we can move forward. Is there any questions you have about what I've said so far? Any comments, any questions, any disagreement, any illumination? You think about it. We'll go through this chapter. You can interrupt anytime you want. There's no problem. This is fairly casual here. So if we go back to the beginning of this chapter, so Krishna had pursued the gopis to meet one autumn night. And you know how beautiful the breeze feels in the autumn and how there's still some flowers blooming and the smell. Everything is very nice. The trees are still full, but autumn is changing. The big full moon in autumn is very romantic, very good time for these types of relationships. So Krishna blew his flute, and he tracks the minds of everyone by this flute song. But the gopis heard the flute, and the impulses of Cupid violently aroused within them. That's what it says. Violently arose within them. Right? So this feeling of desire to be with Krishna in this autumn moon night in the grove of Vrindavan on the banks of the Jamuna, it says it violently aroused Cupid. So they immediately, without any hesitation, these are some married women, so forth, right in the middle of all their duties, they immediately abandoned all their duties and hastily ran to Krishna. They abandoned all their duties because the material world, the life they were living in the material world, by the way, everybody that we see in Vrindavan, if you go back to we just did the birth of Krishna, it's called Janmashtami. And so Janmashtami, we just had 2 days of celebration. But if we go back to Janmashtami, we try to understand who is Krishna. We see that Krishna is performing these amazing activities that nobody else can perform. So God has come to the material world to display the power of God and to attract the mind of everyone to come back home in whatever rasa they're in, it doesn't matter. Wants everybody to come back home. And all of the inhabitants of Vrindavan were demigods who had taken their birth for the purpose of performing for servitude in this pastime of Krishna in Brajabhumi, where he took his birth. Just like we see Christ came to Jerusalem, Krishna came to Vrindavan. So these are demigods who are in the mode of goodness. They've already given up passion, and they're able to control their senses, and they please the Lord. And when Brahma went to the ocean of Kshirodak, and he went there and they chanted the Purusha Shukta prayers to invoke the Lord's mercy, he told Brahma, he said, tell everybody to take their birth in the earth and be prepared for these pastimes to come. So many of them took birth probably in the Battle of Kurukshetra, Some of them took birth in Vrindavan as friends of the parents of Krishna or whatever relationship. Many of them were cowherd boys, right? So they all achieved their liberation. Even the demons achieved their liberation, right? Because when Krishna kills you, you go back home, back to Godhead. And in this situation, we see that however you can become attached to Krishna, however you can meditate on Krishna, then you become Krishna conscious. So in this state, Kamsa was the king at the time, and he had put his father in jail and usurped his kingdom. This is how demoniac he was. He'd killed 7 or 6 of Krishna's brothers in the prison house. And on the 7th one, Durga appeared and told him, you fool, do you not know that Krishna has already appeared somewhere else? He's already gone. He's taken his birth. So Kamsa goes about killing all the children for 10 days or slightly more to eradicate the danger to his own life, because a voice had come to him in the sky and said, you fool, Do you not know that the eighth son of your sister will kill you? So we just went through that whole process there, and now we're going on where Krishna's had his youth. He's had an experience. He's 7 years old at this point in this chapter, is my understanding. So Krishna is dancing with the gopis, right? So here's what happens. They run to Krishna, and when they get there, they find out, oh, by the way, they were fairly negligent. They left their milk on the stove boiling over. They quit milking the cows and took off. They left cakes burning in the oven. They were half dressed. They didn't care. If they had their eye makeup on or their earrings, they didn't care. They ran to Krishna. Some were even breastfeeding their children and left their children to go to Krishna. Many of them were rendering service to their husband, and they gave that up immediately. And even though their husbands and their other relatives tried to stop them, they couldn't be stopped. And the ones that were stopped and were held back created a state of intense agony and longing to be with Krishna, so much so that that intolerable separation, it burned away all of their sinful reactions of all time. And therefore they became completely pure to be in the presence of the Lord. Right? So it says, many of them were held in bondage and not allowed to go, and they simply abandoned their material bodies and in a spiritual body went to be with Krishna. And they left their material body there with their husbands. So the point is this, that even Shishupal, it talks about here, who hated Krishna, he was able to achieve perfection because of his constant meditation upon the Lord. What to speak of these gopis who held Krishna in the highest esteem and wanted to be Krishna's beloved and his wives. Imagine how much more favorable that would have been than Shishupal, but even Shishupal was allowed to achieve perfection through his attachment to Krishna. So the gopis simply thought about Krishna as their male lover. They didn't even know he was God. Krishna had to demonstrate these things, and everybody was always astonished at these activities that Krishna could perform. Nanda Maharaj, he understood that Krishna was God because the spiritual master of the family came for the birth ceremony, and he read Krishna's chart. He saw his feet, saw the signs upon Krishna's body, and he said, this is Narayan. This is God manifest in the world. All the signals, all the signs are there. So persons who simply meditate on the Lord, constantly meditating either in lust, anger, fear, friendship, parental, protective nature for Krishna, or as a lover, will become absorbed in Krishna. And Krishna recommends that in Bhagavad Gita. He said, Manmana bhavamad bhakto majjaji nam namaskaru. So always think of me. Become my devotee. Offer your obeisances to me. Worship me. I will protect you. Do not fear. There's no problem. I'll take care of you. And by doing this, surely you will come to me. Surely you will come to me. So it says the same thing here. Surely you will come to me. So Krishna is untouched by the modes of nature. There's no question of him being sinful or in the mode of passion or ignorance or even goodness. He is above them all. He's the creator of them all. So he says to the girls, set the correct example. He says, do you not know that this is a very dangerous place for women? What are you doing in the middle of the forest at nighttime? Do you not know that there's dangerous creatures lurking about? Right? Do you not know this? So Krishna says, do you not know that your husbands are probably looking for you? Everyone is worried about you. He said, you should immediately go home and do the correct thing. It's not appropriate for you to be here. Now that you've seen Vrindavan, you've seen the moon, you've seen all the trees, the Jamuna, everything, now go home. So they said, why are you speaking to us in such an unfavorable way? Why would you do that? Oh, by the way, Krishna told him, he said, it's not by my personal physical proximity that you become a great devotee. You become a great devotee by worshiping the deity, by studying the Shastra, by following the spiritual master's instructions, by taking only prasadam, by offering what you've been given in your life in sacrifice. Give some back to the Lord, give some to the Brahmins so they can use it for the benefit of the whole world. Like this. This is how you should know me. So not by this physical proximity. But the Gopis didn't like that, right? They didn't like that. So let's see. Oh, I'll read some of this part to you right here because I think this is pretty cool. So it says, so Krishna's appearance is meant for bestowing the highest benefit to humanity, right? So that's the way it is. And when seeing these girls arriving, he first of all greeted them with charming words that bewildered their mind. And then he told them to go home. But he also asked him, he said, well, maybe you've come here perhaps out of love. Maybe love has taken control of your hearts. Maybe that's why you're here. Now, if that's the case, then Krishna says, what may I do for you? Please tell me the reason that you have come here. So Krishna says, what may I do for you? Tell me the reason you have come here. Okay. So it says, the gopis were standing there scratching the ground with their feet, and they wondered why Krishna had spoken these unpleasant words, right? And they were feeling dejected. They were feeling uncared for. And Krishna had told them, transcendental love for me arises by the devotional process of hearing about me, seeing my deity form, meditating on me, faithfully chanting my glories. The same result is not achieved by mere physical proximity. So he had told them to go home, right? So their heads were hanging down, and their heavy, sorrowful breathing was drying up their reddened lips, it says. The gopis scratched the ground with their toes. Tears were flowing from their eyes, carrying their kajala and washing away the vermilion smeared on their breast. Thus they stood silently, bearing the burden of their unhappiness. So Krishna had made them very unhappy, right? Hearing the unpleasant words, the gopis came morose. They were frustrated. They felt insurmountable anxiety. They didn't know what to do. They were stammering with agitation because they were so attached to the Lord. So the gopis then told Krishna, they kind of gave him a little bit of a talking to. You know how you girls can be, right? The beautiful gopis said, "O all-powerful one, you should not speak in this cruel way. Do not reject us who have renounced all material enjoyment to render devotional service to your lotus feet. Please reciprocate with us." Right? So this is what they're asking the Lord to do, is reciprocate them. And they go on to say that, yes, our duty to our family in the material world is temporary. Certainly we want to carry it out. But all of these duties are actually meant for you. Everything is meant for you because you are the most intimate relative, and indeed you are our very self. They tell Krishna that. So try to imagine how intimate this must be. So in text, that's the one I wanted to read to you. So text 32, that's the one I wanted you to read. So there's so many good verses in here. We could get lost in this for a long time. So I'm going to kind of cut to the chase with you. So one of the things they say that I think is pretty cool is they come back to Krishna and go, what use do we actually have for these husbands, these children, these relatives? What use? And because it's all a material illusion. We're meant to be with you in the spiritual world forever, enjoying unlimited transcendental reciprocation, bliss, happiness, so forth and so on. So what use does all this have, since it's temporary in nature? Previously, they were absorbed in their household affairs, but Krishna had stolen their minds. And they asked him, Lord, how can we return to Braja? What would we even do there? We're dejected by society. A woman who goes alone in the night with a man like that is no longer qualified, right? Because she's given herself to this man. She should stay with this man. So the idea is, what use would they have for going back? Instead, they were looking for Krishna to pour the nectar of his lips upon them and douse this fire that was burning in their heart. Even the goddess of fortune considers it to be a great festival when she gets to touch the feet of the Lord. And they say on that, yes, and we shall also touch those feet. How then can we ever stand in the presence of another man? Having been fully satisfied by you, our hearts are burning. Please make us your maidservants. They're asking Krishna. We must, they say, we must, in verse 39, it says, we must become your maidservants. Now, this one verse, text 41, they go on to say, clearly you have taken your birth in this world to relieve the fear and distress of the people of Braja. Just as the Supreme Person of Godhead, the primal Lord, protects the domain of the demigods. Therefore, O friend of distress, kindly place your lotus feet, your lotus hand upon your maidservants' heads and their breasts. Please do this, because we belong to you. We want to give ourselves to you. So it says here, smiling upon hearing the despondent words of the Gopis, Lord Krishna, the supreme master of all mystics, mercifully enjoyed with them, although he is self-satisfied. So we're just reading that Krishna's primary focus is to protect his devotee, right? In the Bhagavad Gita, it describes that Parichana, what is it? Chanaya Sadhanam Vinashya Yachadushkatam. So he's there to protect his devotees and to annihilate the miscreants. So even though he was self-satisfied, he did this because of their prayers. They've asked for something, now Krishna is giving. So it says, among the gopis, Krishna appeared just like the full moon surrounded by stars. Isn't that beautiful? His activities are so magnanimous, it made their faces blossom with his affectionate glances, and his broad smiles revealed his beautiful smile. As the gopis were singing his praises, he moved among them. And actually it says that Krishna manifests himself with each gopi who was there, hundreds of gopis apparently. And then he also stood in the center of them, playing on his flute and singing while they danced. So Krishna expanded unlimitedly for this purpose. I wanted to read this one thing to you also. If we go back, we can see that Krishna married, in the Bhagavatam, you can read, Krishna married 16,108 wives who had been kidnapped by Narakasura. I don't know if anybody knows that story, but Narakasura had kidnapped all these wives. I think that Nanda had 16 wives, and I think Vasudeva had 16 wives. But because kings had several wives, because they were wealthy, they could protect these women, they could take care of them. Men shouldn't have multiple wives if they're unable to do that. And in modern society, no one is. So it's illegal. Polygamy is illegal now. But back in these thousands of years ago, it was possible because women need to be protected always from childhood to the time of death. And so therefore, there are generally more women births than there are men. So all women have to become protected. So this is how they were being protected by their husbands and their parents. And then as they grow old, they're protected by their children. So that's the perfect system Krishna has made. So these ladies have been kidnapped by Narkasura, and there were 16,108 wives. And he expanded. It's called Prabhava Prakasha. This is the expansion. You can read about this in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya 20, verses 164 through verses 173. You can read all about that particular pastime. Then there are a lot of different references to this that he in Srimad Bhagavatam in 10:33. We're not there yet. We're going to read. This is 29. We're going to 33. But Bilva Mangala Thakur in his purport talks about how Krishna paired with each gopi, but yet stayed and remained in the center of this world, playing on his flute and singing. So in Adi Leela 7:8, it says that Krishna is Rasadi Vilasi, which means that the gopis, are meant to only be enjoyed by Krishna, not by unscrupulous rascals. So you can read that. That's in Adi Leela 7:8. I would recommend you go there. In the Ancha Leela in 18:6, we see that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu imitated the rasa dance, and he enjoyed emotional ecstasy as a result. So Krishna took a position as his own servant to see how these girls felt towards him, because that's the only way he could understand their mood, their feeling, their love, their affection for him. He actually took a position as one of them so that he could enjoy their pleasure because he considered it to be superior to his own. In one purport that I remember from years ago, Prabhupada was staying at John Lennon's house. I don't know if you remember this. Rangavati, you might remember this. He was staying at John Lennon's house for a period of time, and Yoko Ono and George Harrison and Paul McCartney, everybody used to come over for classes. And Prabhupada actually said to them in one occasion, he said that the human life is meant to achieve the highest benediction and go back to home, back to Godhead, and dance eternally in the rasa dance with Krishna. Prabhupada told Yoko and John Lennon that. So I thought that was a pretty good little quote to bring to the table tonight for you as well. So if we keep going through this, we'll see the full description of the rasa dance, where it says Krishna went to the gopis at the bank of Jamuna, where the sand was cooling and the wind, enlivened by the river's waves, bore the fragrance of the lotuses. Isn't that beautiful? Then he threw his arms around the gopis and embraced them. He touched them. He touched their hair, their arms, their thighs, their belts, their breasts. He played with them. They pinched each other and scratched jokingly. He gave them sidelong glances and smiled and laughed with them. In this way, the Lord enjoyed pastimes with the gopis. Now, what happened next? What happened? Anybody know? He's enjoying with the gopis. They're dancing. They're having a big time. What happened? Vamsi, do you know?
Gopis felt a little proud and Krishna left and disappeared.
So what happened? When they felt proud, what happened? What happened next? They were proud.
Yeah. So the Lord wanted to teach them not to be proud, so he disappeared from there.
So this was his mercy also. It says to show them further mercy and relieve them of their pride, Krishna immediately disappeared. So that's how this chapter ends. And there it goes through, I think, chapter 30, what is it? 33. I think we got like 4 or 5 more chapters of the Rasa dance. So we're going to unpack this story a little further. So if you have any questions or any you misunderstanding or whatever, by the time we finish these 4 or 5 chapters, it all should be cleared up for you. So Krishna disappeared. Krishna has disappeared from us in the material world, hasn't he? I mean, we're hanging out with Krishna's Virat Rupa, right? We're hanging out with his separated energies because we separated ourselves from Krishna and came to his separated energies to try to become Krishna. Want to become Krishna. We want to be the most beautiful, wealthy, wise, famous, powerful person, and we will do anything to get there. I mean, you watch what the demons do to get there. They'll kill you. They'll do whatever they got to do because they want to be on the top of that mountain. They want to be number one. Krishna's number one. All these zeros become valuable when we add Krishna. Then we have one in front. Then all of a sudden our wealth is exponentially expanded. So Krishna immediately disappeared from the gopis. They were enjoying and they became a bit proud. So we'll stop there. Is there any questions or any comments? Vamsi, you normally have some wonderful comments. I'd love to. I got some more notes, but I won't go through it. It's already 8:03, so I'm trying to keep it down.
Yeah.
We'll get to them in the next chapters anyway. So what do you have to say about it, Vamsi?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hi.
Thank you so much for the wonderful class and your wonderful interpretations and all the insights. It's so nice and purifying. Prabhuji, I was just thinking about what we read before about the Brahmana Patnis or the wives of the Brahmanas. They had also left their husbands and come. And Krishna actually pulled the same prank on them to say, you got to go back because that's what women have to do. And we see how the gopis don't fall for those things that Krishna says. They were adamant that they'll be there and convince Krishna they have to stay. But it just shows that the gopis are his topmost devotees. They know what the Lord wants internally, and they can fulfill him by, yeah, like if anything, if the Lord says something to us, he's like, oh, we have to do what he says, so we'll go. But they know what to listen to and what not to listen to. And they stayed there. Um, the other observation is, I've heard that, it's like you're going to make a home run and you're in the last yard, but then you turn back and just fall down and go. But Krishna was with all his favorite gopis who are dancing, and instead of spending more time with him, he just disappeared. That shows that he's all about renunciation. He just wants the best for his devotees, and he doesn't want any pleasure for himself. He's always about giving pleasure to his devotees and purifying them. So he disappeared from this place, and yeah. And like you said, these are very esoteric topics, and thanks to the devotees and Prabhupada, we are getting access to the highest pleasure of Madhurya. And no qualification to talk about it, but thank you, Prabhuji, for giving the opportunity to discuss.
That's wonderful. Thank you for that. Yeah, Rangavati, you got anything to add?
No, not really. As I think Vamsi Prabhu has got it summed up. It's just yeah, they don't care if they've lost their reputation, because it's all for Krishna. That's all they can think of. They're just there just to enjoy with Krishna.
That's a perfect thing to say because Prabhupada said, I was just reading today in Mood and Mission, this book that one of great Swami Bhakti Vikash, had quoted 10,000 quotes from Srila Prabhupada in this thing. It's unbelievable. Things that are obscure that he pulled out. But he was saying that his mission when he came to the United States was not, he wasn't here to make friends. He wasn't looking to become popular. He didn't care about anything. He said, as a matter of fact, the whole world is our enemy. Because the whole world is against Krishna. So he said, it's not a problem. It's like a man who's going into a battle or someone who's going into a battle. They know there's going to be adversity. They know that they could risk their life in the process of trying to disseminate this information about God. And Prabhupada said, it doesn't matter. We're not here. We don't worry about those things. We don't depend on the ordinary course of activities. Instead, we depend on Krishna. We give our lives to Krishna. We take risk for Krishna. We go out and find those people who've been telling bogus philosophy. He said, any philosopher, name one. They've misled the people literally off the cliff of intelligence. Because most philosophies are not perfect. They are material, mundane philosophies that lead to a material, mundane result. They really do. And they're partial at best. They may contain some absolute truth, but the majority of their philosophy is made up of relative truths, which are constantly changing, or may not have any bearing on a universal truth for time immemorial. So Prabhupada said all of that, those people need to be brought to bear. We need to address those people directly, talk to those people directly, and if there's an argument, we need to win. We need to show them why the Vedic literatures are the most exacting, the most voluminous, the most consistent of all literatures, and they contain actual histories of God's appearance in the earth. No one knows about these things. No one. So it's our job to disseminate this information to people in general for the benefit and the welfare of humanity and the whole world, including all the living entities that are here. Because anyone who comes in contact, even an animal or a plant or whatever it is, they come in contact with the vibration of God's holy names, they become purified. So our goal is to purify ourselves, just like if the airplane's going down, you grab the mask for yourself first, and then you go to the children, and you go to the ladies, and to this and that, and you save everybody else in the process. So first, hear this information yourself, learn it, imbibe it, make it a part of your life and your philosophy and everything that you do, and then give it away to everybody that you meet. And that pleases Krishna more than anything. He says in Bhagavad Gita that one who gives this information to the devotees, no one is more dear, nor can there ever be one more dear than he. So that's our job here tonight. That's what we're doing. We're doing our best. Although we're, just like Vamsi said, we're unqualified. We're not. Prabhupada said, when there's a battle and the general falls, used to be the general was the first one in the battle. Now he's the one that stays back in the air-conditioned comfort of his bunker in the USA while he sends everybody else to die. I'm sorry if I said something, baby, but I think you understand what I'm saying. So when the general falls, then even the lieutenant can become the general if that is something that has to be done because there's no one else to carry the flag, no one else to take the mission forward. So even though we're unqualified to speak of these things are beyond our comprehension in many ways. We've tried to understand them, and we're trying to become purified so that we can understand them in their correct, true nature without inserting the modes of material nature like lust and passion and ignorance and anger, all this nonsense. But just like Chanakya Pandit said, get ghee, by all means, beg, borrow, steal ghee. I think it was Chanakya Pandit. Get ghee. Prabhupada says, somehow or another, we have to become Krishna conscious. Just like the Gopis said, we have to become your maidservants. So it's something we have to do. It's our nature. It's who we are. And we have to reawaken that by hearing this Srimad Bhagavatam over and over and over again until finally it gets through the thick skull and we start feeling some devotion. So guys, thank you so much. I want to offer my respects to everybody here. Thank you so much for listening. And we'll pick up again next Monday night with the next chapter, which is a continuation of this rasa dance for the next 3 or 4 chapters. So please come and avail yourself. Read ahead if you'd like. Bring some good questions, whatever you got. And we'll take it up again, same time, same station. Next. Okay?
Hare Krishna.
Right, repeat after me. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Krishna.
Krishna Krishna.
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
Hare Ram.
Hare Ram.
Hare Ram.
Hare Ram.
Rama Rama.
Ram Ram.
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
Okay, guys, have a great rest of your evening. Thank you so much. Looking forward to seeing you next week. Invite your friends to come. Come on. Let's get some more people on the call. We've had an illustrious weekend. I think a lot of people are probably tired. Some people may still be out of town, but invite everybody to come back to the classes, okay? And we'll be sending posts. Rangabadi is our communications director. I promise she'll be sending out some.
Can't hear you.
Okay? Haribo!
Hare Hare Bo.
Oh.